Hey guys, my name is Marco. I'm a professional dog trainer. I've been training dogs for about 8 years now, probably trained over 600 or so. And the bulk of my career, I've been using Dogtra for my off-leash electronic collars. Now, they're a really reputable company. They've got good warranties on their products. They've got good customer service. They pretty much have a make and model for like every breed or temperament out there. So you could pretty much find whatever you need through Dogtra. Now, because I'm such an advocate of the company, I decided I'm going to start doing these different videos on the different models and what I use them for and what features they offer. So that way, if you're kind of looking for what one is the right fit for you, maybe I can push you in the right direction. So before I get too far into our review of the 1900s, I always start with a caution. I'm a big advocate of training equipment, especially advanced training equipment. I think that off-leash collars are very, very important for keeping dogs safe. Even your household pet, but even hunting dogs, retrieval, sport dogs, even dogs that just go hiking. I think that it's a step that cannot be skipped. But if you don't know what you're doing, you probably shouldn't be using any type of advanced equipment. So as a trainer, I understand the importance of the way that we introduce it and the way that we use it and things like that. So if you don't know what you're doing, I would highly recommend that you are looking for a professional and reputable trainer to help you introduce this equipment properly. Every trainer is a little different, and I see a lot of trainers doing things that I don't like. So I would look at a couple different trainers and I would ask a bunch of questions and look at their reviews and ask them about how they introduce the equipment and kind of make sure you're finding the right fit for you. Now, having said that, assuming that we're using the collar the right way and we're going to be introducing it properly, let's talk about the 1900s. So the 1900s is going to be my go-to collar for any big dog. This is one of the models that is really just for big dogs. Great Danes, giant schnauzers, mastiffs, anything in that ballpark. Now, in addition to that, I may also use this collar for medium or large dogs that just have a higher level, need a higher level of stimulation to feel anything. Now, what I mean by that is every person is different and every dog is different as far as what our sense of touch is like. So some people may feel 20 as like a light tickle, where other people may feel 20 as a pretty intense stimulation. So every dog is different as well. So some dogs really are sensitive to it, and some dogs don't feel it at all unless it's at a higher level. So any dog that my clients have been talking about, we don't really use electronic collars because my dog doesn't feel it, they don't recognize it. This is usually going to be the collar that I'm going to recommend for any dog like that. So let's take a closer look at the collar itself so I can kind of show you guys the different features and the buttons and all that kind of stuff. That way you guys know exactly what I like about it. All right, guys, so this is the 1900s. This is kind of the standard color for most cases. If you're looking for a different color scheme, they do have options that are all camo. They've got options that are all black. So I will leave a link in the description that just kind of gives you a couple different options if you're looking for a different style. Now, the strap on the collar is also replaceable. If you just wanted to put on a different type of strap or a different color, you can do that as well. Now, again, because this model is made for bigger dogs, it is one of the bulkier boxes that they have on the collar, and it is a little bit heavy. So that's something that's good to kind of know. Now, as far as the remote goes, okay, there's going to be a blue button on the side that turns it on and off. You know that it's on because the numbers are displayed on the screen. Okay, now there's an on button for the remote and there's an on button for the collar. Okay, so referred to as the receiver is what they typically call this in the instructions. Now the receiver is turned on now as well. You'll know that they're both turned on because there's a green light that blinks every couple seconds telling you that it's turned on. There's the same thing here on the remote. If you start to see them blinking orange or red, that means that they're dying and that we probably need to charge them. Now, the remote probably lasts 2 or 3 days on a charge, and the receiver, maybe a day and a half or 2 days, but it's probably best to just get in the habit of charging them every night. Now, another feature of the blue button on the remote is it actually controls the backlit option of the screen. So if you're walking dogs late at night and you can't see what number this is set on or if it's turned on or anything like that, okay, the blue button is actually going to control that function. So I actually just turned it off by pressing it once. But now, so as you can see, if I'm kind of adjusting the knobs, the number's changing, but the screen is not illuminated. Now, if I hit that button one more time, you see how the screen turns blue, and that's going to make it a little bit easier to see what you're doing late at night. Okay, so that's a feature that a lot of people don't know is there. Now, as far as the different buttons go, the front button is a pager, which is really just a vibrate. The button on the side, this one that's got kind of like a braille N on it, that is referred to as the nick stimulation. Now, that basically just means that it's pre-programmed. So it doesn't matter how long you hold it down, it's going to be a very, very quick correction. Now, this is a continuous button. So this one, as long as you are holding it, it's going to stretch that correction until you take your finger off of it. So, so this I kind of coach my clients as a emergency button, but it's good to understand that even if you just pressed it and released it, it's still going to be a little bit longer than that pre-programmed nick. Okay, now on the back here, there's an option to put in a clip. I prefer the clip. I am not a big fan of the lanyard that it comes with right out of the box, but that's kind of a personal preference thing. Now, there's a little rubber port here that if you kind of unplug it, that's actually how you're going to charge your remote. Okay, the collar has got the same exact thing here. If you look closely, there's this little rubber port here. Okay, now the cool thing about this collar is that if you plug those rubber pieces back in, it's actually completely waterproof. So that is one of my favorite things about it. Now, again, the charger that it comes with an adapter, so you can plug them both in every night. Now, as far as the collar itself goes, the contact points you can actually swap out for bigger or shorter. So if you were working with a Husky, you're probably going to want to replace these with like 1-inch contact points or things that are going to kind of cut through that fur a little bit better. So now that we understand, you know, the different buttons and things like that, let's kind of talk about the pros and cons of the different features and what really makes this collar so effective. Okay, so before we wrap up this video, let's just talk about all of the things that make it my favorite collar ever. Okay, so first things first, it's a pretty strong collar. So it can really be an effective tool if there's a dog that just really needs a higher level of stimulation. So first and foremost, that is really the main appeal to this collar. Now, another thing that I really like about it is that it actually, the collar and remote can actually work up to, I think, 3/4 of a mile, which is pretty far. So, you know, most of my clients are not going to be doing hunting or anything crazy like that. So I doubt that their dogs would ever be that far away from them, but it is good to have that kind of peace of mind that it will work that far away. Another thing that I talked about before that I really, really like about it is that it's waterproof. I can't even tell you how many times I called Dogtra like over the years, like panicking that I was going to void my warranty. And I would call them and ask them, how waterproof is this? And they had told me as long as these rubber pieces are plugged in, this is pretty much as waterproof as a piece of electronic equipment can get. Now, in addition to that, another kind of cool feature that not everyone has, but you can actually get one that offers, it's called a hands-free option. And I'll leave a link below so that way if you're looking for that, you know, I'll have it there for you. But basically the hands-free option comes with like a little watch almost. It's like it's really just a tiny button. And that button, as long as it's within a certain distance of the remote, it anytime you press it, it's going to give whatever stimulation the collar is set to or the remote is set to. So that can be kind of nice if you've got two people that are trying to use the equipment at the same time. Like if two people are kind of working together. It can also be nice if this is just too big or bulky, like if you're doing a photo shoot or something kind of like that, it can kind of be nice to have this really tiny button that you can just keep in your pocket. So that's kind of a cool feature. Another thing that I like about this particular model is that you can charge it pretty quickly. So even though I do try to tell people to charge it every night, if you ever forget, you could pretty much charge it in 2 hours. So that's really, really nice. And then the last feature about this collar that I like so much is that it's compatible as a 2-dog system. So they call it the 1902. That's technically the Dogtra system that's 2 of these connected to 1 remote. So this collar would already work if you had a 1902 system and you just wanted to sync this up to that. But another thing, if you're just trying to save money or something like that, you can actually contact Dogtra and send them the remote, and they will put in an extra set of orange buttons for you that connect to a second collar. So that way, all you would have to do is buy a second collar in order to make it a 2-dog system. And that can be kind of convenient because buying individual, like 1 remote, 1 collar per dog, if you've got 2 or 3 dogs, that can get pretty pricey pretty quickly. So I like that most of the Dogtra models are compatible as 2-dog systems. Now, the only downside to this collar is that it is obviously it's marketed to big dogs. So it's not going to be as versatile as some of their other models are. So, there are some of their small dog collars that I'll use on really big dogs. But this collar, the way that it's shaped and its weight and its size, is going to make it a little bit limited on what other dogs you can use it on. So that's probably the only downside to this collar. So if you have like a Yorkie and a Great Dane, you're only really going to be able to use this on your Great Dane. Where in some instances, if you're using a small dog collar, you could probably use that on your Yorkie and maybe even your Great Dane if they've got the right temperament and training and everything like that. So that is my quick, rundown of the 1900S. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll answer anything that I can. I'm going to try to make videos for all the different models that I use and compare and contrast them so that way you guys know, everything that you need to when you're making these choices. Outside of that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.